Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Most of you all, I think, all of you all know me. When I look around, I know you. And they met you, Princess Adams, I think, too. Y'all met her,
Sister Abby.
when she has time, she comes and joins, and we appreciate her attendance whenever she can.
Busy
Okay.
all the time.
Well, I'm James Tools. I'm one of the co-facilitators for the St. Clair County Action Team. And I'll let the other person, it took us a while to get one of our purchase of service providers, one of our private agency facilitators. You all know we have looking for at least about 3, 4, 5 years. So we're so glad that I'll let her introduce herself. She stepped up and said she'll be. Karen.
Oh, I'm Karen Roberson. I'm from Walton Youth and Family Services. I'm the child welfare manager there. Thank you,
And
James.
the co-facilitator for the Permanency Action Team. Diane Parker is the other. She should be in route. I guess she should be coming. So we'll go with other. I guess we'll start at the head of the table.
Good afternoon, my name is Michael Burrs. I'm the DCFS statewide permanency enhancement administrator. I deal with the action teams across the state.
And good afternoon. I'm Vanessa Brown, and I'm at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, and I'm the project director for the Southern region for the Permanency Enhancement Project.
I'm Enrique Howell, retired DCFS worker and general purpose person.
I'm
Yeah,
Megan
that's
Thompson,
it.
and I'm the Assistant State's Attorney here in St. Clair County for the Juvenile Court.
Oh, I'm Brooke Ports, Lead Foster Care Supervisor at Caritas Family Solutions.
Are we going across the room?
We'll start doing that.
Okay.
Kayla Nickel, Foster Care Supervisor, Caritas Family Solutions.
And Katie Kotz, Children's Home and Aid Placement Licensing and Adoption Supervisor.
Ashley Weisinger, Caritas Family Solutions Supervisor.
Donna Lindsay, Director of Volunteer Services at CASA.
Megan Arnett, Southern Illinois University, academic liaison for the Permanency Enhancement Project.
Crystal Nash, caseworker, Lutheran Child and Family Services.
Shakita Adams, Placement Supervisor, Belleville.
Becky Woolever, Hoyleton Youth and Family Services, Adoption Supervisor, QA Specialist.
Option and QA now. Was
Yes.
that the last thing?
Yes, I've been doing QI with our agency since September.
Okay. Okay, great. As you all know, we had sent out an email some time ago requesting if you all didn't mind being videotaped. Now, is there anyone, because some people were not on the email stream. There's only a couple of y'all probably weren't. I think all of you all were, weren't you? And Megan, we have you on it, don't we? I know we have Bernadette on it.
I believe so.
I believe it's you and Bernadette now.
Okay.
Erica, we didn't have her email address, so that's why she may have not been. And I think Dr. Brown, you were on it too, weren't you? But Enrique wasn't. You don't have a problem with it? Okay.
They know me already.
Great.
Whatever's out there is out there.
What's that?
And we'll move right along, because we know people have other things to do. One of the things I'm hoping we have, one of the concerns of the action team was, again, you all know, everything we do, we try to eliminate barriers to permits or barriers to access to services or whatever, in order for our children and families to be able to have productive lives and move forward in whatever that permanency is in their lives, whether it be adoption, remain intact, return home, independence, or whatever. So one of the things we did, we identified some time ago, a few years back actually, is that we cannot use our email in order to send a lot of information, sometimes, especially a lot of discovery when it comes to investigations. And also when it comes to adoption, sometimes we had a big legal screening packet and everything else that we can't send it by way of email because DCFS has a rule in place that prohibits it. Because we know our system is secure, but we don't know if the other person, when we send things over the internet. So while that rule's in place, we were not able to do it. So one of the things is we got our DCFS General Counsel attended back in, was it September or December? December meeting, Lisa Spakopan, and she was working with Bernadette and others in order to determine how they could make that happen. Megan, they didn't give you an update by any chance, did they?
No, they did not.
Okay, because we met once by way of phone in January, and Lisa had one of her staff on, And we sort of got out of the loop, the direct service people, and let them handle the legal piece of it. So unfortunately, we don't have an update, but I can tell you we will continue working on that, because we already know some places, like with Madison County, they're already doing it. And so of course, it's always a concern, especially when we have our POS providers here, and they're saying, well, our cases we have at Madison, they do it, but our cases in St. Clair, they can't do it. And they're all, DCFS monitored cases. So we understand that, but we also, there's a rule in place, and it was not lifted. Lisa herself, who's our general counsel over, statewide over DCFS, stated it was not lifted. Now, I'm not sure they put something special in place for Madison or what. I do know they have an encrypted site where they can do things, but we were just never given permission to use it. So if anyone's had a question about why we just never received permission and authority. Even when asking Irvin Williamson, who's usually here, our regional counsel for this area, he said also that they never really. So until further notice, it's, as supervisor and administrator, it's up to you how you want to deal with that. But I can tell you DCFS did not lift that rule. Now, maybe for a specific area, they may have gotten an email to say you are allowed to, maybe it's only the ones that were affected. I know someone had mentioned that, was it you, Katie? That someone said they had gotten an email.
Oh.
Well, Janelle sent
yeah.
an email.
Right. Janelle
Yeah,
Lobs,
they got it figured out.
agency performance team, supervisor
Yes.
for DCFS, and she sent it out to,
A lot of agencies, I think.
I think most agencies,
Most private
supervise.
agencies, whoever they cover.
okay.
And it said that we could no longer email, and then
Right.
Madison County got it figured out how they would set up with that Illinois.gov address, and so now we're allowed to do it through that link, through the department.
And that was one of the things we were going to share with Lisa and them to see, because I'm not sure where the discussions are yet, but I mean, it seems like if you have something that's working, and it's working through our site, Illinois.gov,
Like
Why we-
everybody access.
exactly,
Right.
why reinvent the wheel? And Claire certainly has. So we've noted that, and we're going to approach Lisa with that and see if she's aware of it. Okay. No, I'm sorry, I should have passed this around. I'm going to pass a couple of things just to expedite time. You all can just pass them on. The first document is the Indian Child Welfare Act referral form, the CFS 307-1. And most of you all, I didn't bring a copy for everyone, I don't think, only because for all of us on the action team, I sent it to your emails, remember, so you had the opportunity to review it. It's real simple. Judge Brandon called me, and you all know sometimes he periodically does, and said he was just concerned. I think Bernadette also chimed in on it by way of email to say that some cases were being delayed because it was found out that perhaps the investigator, usually that's who it was, knew that this family may have been one of the participants or eligible for the Child Welfare Act, but they did nothing with it till they came to court, but tell him that we believe they are. He said, so what? So what they had to do on one case, they had to reschedule the shelter care. They had to return, you all probably heard of that one, until that worker had an opportunity to at least do the referral. Now with this referral, it doesn't mean, most of you all know if you ever had it done, it doesn't mean automatically they're gonna find out of these people, is this family or these children part of a tribe. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't mean they're gonna automatically, because they have to do a search. What it is, but they will, but at least you can tell the judge, I've done the referral. It
Right.
only takes a moment to do that referral form. It's on it's on your template drive and everything, and just send it, as you see it says, to the Office of Affirmative Action. It used to be sent directly to our two ICWA specialists. It used to be sent directly to them, but now I see where the Office of Affirmative Action now receives them. I think only because you all can imagine with it being a tribal and a cultural thing, I think they really want to be involved. I'm sure there's probably been some litigation about it, and that's why they want to make sure they're receiving all those referrals and probably following up to see what has been done about what has our office done with those referrals, how they process them, and what was the outcome.
Is this not done on every case?
The question is supposed to be asked on every case of the parents and the supposed to be older children. Are you a member of a tribe? That's the question. And a lot of them will say no, of course. But then some will say, well, my grandmother said my grandmother was a Cherokee, but then that's sort of
When you
like,
do
right, that's when you do it. But if they're saying, oh, no, we're not. So again, that's what it is. But it's not done on every case. But the question is asked on every case. And we always suggest, although it starts an investigation, we always suggest also for placement and even in tax staff, still ask the question. Because if investigations forget or don't cover, or if the parents didn't know at that time, that they know now, because I can tell you, it's real, it can really impact your case. Because we've had some, anyone ever had a case that was Indian Child Welfare Act that was part of a tribe?
I had people that said that they were, that nothing hurt.
Nothing came back. Well, I know there was over 300 tribes. So of course, you can imagine around the U.S. they have to send it out, and it depends on the blood quantum and all. It's a lot of stuff they do. But our two specialists, only two, but they're very skillful. They are actually themselves members of tribes, so they're very familiar with how it's supposed to be done. I think I showed you Leslie Powers and Sarah Jimenez. They're up in Chicago, but they both are very, very helpful. Once you send that referral form, they pretty much do everything for you. They may need additional information and so forth, but they do all their work. You just send the referral, and that's what we're telling staff. It's simple. Just do the referral. You don't have to have a court hearing delayed or anything else, because Judge Brandon has it on his court orders now. Have you all seen it? He has it's this equal family. So it's a checklist he has on the court order itself when it comes to shelter care and so forth. So again, he's going to ask it. So that's why we put that on agenda, because it's just that important that we need to be doing, because it is, because you know with ECHO, of course, anybody familiar a little bit with it, what it requires, again, it was going to ask us, did we consider, and really they actually want us to put them in an Indian home. So that's one of the things that asks. The other thing is, before we can terminate, because we had a case years ago like that, myself and one of my staff, before you can terminate, it must go through the tribe. They have to go through the tribe to see whether or not you found a family or families that identify with them. So again, it's a lot. We've had them intervene because they'll come in with their own attorneys and they'll intervene in a court case. I remember it was down in Rantoul County where the judge said, well, we couldn't convene. You all know some of us live dealing in the rural areas. We have some of the judges who won't sometimes come on board. Well, he didn't have a choice. When ICWA came in, they came with their attorneys and came in big and said, hey, we're going to intervene in this court case. And we're asking why they think they had to. Well, the federal government then got involved to tell them, yes, judge, you have to. Again, it is. It's a requirement. So most of the judges in our area should know it. I certainly know Judge Brandon does because, you know, he sits on the statewide panel with the judges. So again, just keep in mind, if there are any questions, we're all peers. We know we always help one another to make it through this. But ICWA is very important. Like I said, sometimes I went to a home one time I remember, and I was meeting the grandmother. And I'm looking at grandmother and see like, so I asked the question. I said, you American Indian? She said, yes. And then she began to tell me about how the tribe came down, and unfortunately they got drunk on the boat and didn't give up money. Anyway, it was just interesting how we have to pay attention. But even if we don't see a resemblance or something to key in, we still ask the question. But in this case, no, everybody missed it, but some of us, you know, and that's why, again, why it's so important to have those family meetings. Because that's how I saw it. I went out to a family meeting at their house, and I met grandmother. And to me, it was real apparent that this woman had something other than African American or Caucasian. It was. So I asked her the question, and she said yes, she was. So again, so because it is that important, because you all know this can change the whole direction of your case if it's found out 2 years later, and you think you're headed toward termination.
Right.
Or whatever, it will, and not only does it disrupt your case, but most importantly, those children's and families' lives sometimes. The stuff we should have done up front. So, any questions about that? Okay, real quickly too, the next item on the agenda about procedures for requesting certified medical records. Megan made us a little packet. Thank you. I think Megan were you the one that asked the question? I think sent me an email.
Yes.
Because we have covered this before, you all may remember. some of you all have been on the team for a while, that we have covered the certified medical records procedure for that. And then we just covered again in the action team last week. Just because we get records from Cardinal Glen and Children's Hospital, those are the most, especially when it comes to children, ones we use the most, of course. Just because we get them from there doesn't mean they're certified. Believe it or not, it's the same information, is it, Megan? But they're just not certified.
It has to be certified and we have to have a delegation of authority. A lot of times, we'll just get the medical records as non-certified, and then the other half time, we get certified records with no delegation of authority, and we have to have the doctor there to testify to the records without that delegation of authority. But there is a civil statute that says if we have them certified with the delegation of authority, we don't even have to have the doctor come to testify. We can just admit those records into evidence, and the judge can read them for face value. It saves the doctor's time, and they really do appreciate that. So we prefer to do it that way.
Okay.
But there was just some question about what is a delegation of authority. So this is an example. So within the packet, the certified will come, and then it says how many pages, and then it's a delegation from the head of the hospital.
The other thing is
This, okay, right here.
It's a business record exception that
Okay.
allows you to get through hearsay.
And the other thing, our child protection staff have delegated authority. They're the only unit in our agency
Oh,
that
really?
has that. We don't.
Okay.
And Shakira, you remember, you were child protection, you remember having to delegate authority?
Yeah.
Which of course meant for them, a lot of them, is that we have to get releases to get those mental health records and everything for the parents and all the children. They didn't have to because of that delegated authority. They have letters to state that. So whenever you're involved in the case and you need that during the time of that investigation, it's only good then, ask them during that handoff, can we get the mental health records, especially when you know you have a parent that may not be as cooperative, get it then while they're involved. Ask them, they can do it with that. Did they ever inform any of you all of that? Yeah, that's always good during that handoff. I have a list I use of handoff documents and information and questions to ask during handoff. Because you only have that one scope of time, don't you? That little short time.
Can you send us that?
Pardon?
Send that to us?
No.
James, you send that to us?
You all know what you need, don't you?
Doesn't hurt to have a
Okay.
reminder.
Yeah.
But it really does help. Just sort of, prompt your mind of some questions to ask. Because again, you only have that one window to get it from them. Because once they close the investigation, that's it. And then it's hard maybe getting them back to the table, getting so good. I try to get it all while we're there. That's why those handoff staffs are so important with our child protection staff, to get your information you need right up front, right away, so you can move on and move that case on. The other thing for Children's Hospital, if you don't have this, and this is what Touche is doing, but if you don't have that, Children's as well as Cardinal Glen is saying, when you send over the fax for certified medical records, put it on there and make sure it's probably in caps. We're requesting certified medical records on that fax cover sheet. Don't just say medical records, but certified.
And the delegation of authority, it's two separate pieces of paper, it's two separate things. They have to come together.
Right, so again, request that of them. And same way with children and Cardinal, and I sent that out to you all too, didn't you? You all got an email about the certified medical records? Remember? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I know I see Karen's name on this one for sure. So the investigator didn't know, because there were two contact people too, by the way. You said you all got, okay, great. So those are the people too. It really speeds up a lot of things, because you all know sometimes that's why we have continuances. Is that right, Megan?
Yeah, if we have
Okay.
any case where there's medical records and we're gonna go to trial, we have to have the certified or the delegation of authority. If we don't have that, then we try to get the doctor, and generally it's not gonna work out with their schedule within our
Yes.
trial time, because it's just a 30-day continuance
Mhm.
from the first adjudication to the second. That's not enough time for a doctor
Right.
to know to come to court.
So if they have this, it won't have to be continued based on this.
Right, and we don't have to have the doctor come testify.
Right.
We can just admit the records and evidence, and Judge Brandon will read them.
So you can imagine how appreciative a doctor would be. Because they don't want to have to take any time out of their schedule. They don't have to come over here. Because a lot of our doctors, like I said, a lot of this is touche, but oftentimes we deal a lot with cardinal Glen in children. And you know, I don't know, have you ever had a doctor come over from there?
From Cardinal Glennon? Yes, we have.
How often is that usually?
Not very.
Not very often. I know we used to have years ago, I recall, a lot of them just wouldn't come. Even if you subpoenaed them.
Wow.
Okay. So since we're on that question about continuances, Donna passed y'all, and you all probably saw it, the sheets, 2 sheets regarding the continuances. Or something like this, one for termination and one just for regular court continuances.
I don't think you got that.
Do you have any? Oh, it is.
Okay, somebody ended up here, and
Yeah, they didn't
I don't
get
think they're stapled either.
What's that?
Really? Well, you know, they're not, look like these are not staples.
Yeah, we have that.
Y'all have them down here, so what happened with in between?
Those aren't, mine were all stapled. I need 20.
Yeah, I
That's
put
only
them together.
20%, that's a 20% and then.
Okay.
Those might not be the real
Yeah,
ones.
is that?
They're not stapled.
Mhm.
I think those are the old ones.
No, they're,
These are stapled.
because I didn't have any, all mine were not folded.
You guys already got one?
Oh.
They all got them on
Oh.
that side.
She didn't.
Well, the first one said court continuances.
Another one, too.
Those are for the 9 AM.
One's termination, one's the.
Wait, this is termination and what's the other?
Court continuances.
Okay, where's the court continuances? Is that it?
Yeah, this is it here.
Yeah, we need that one.
And then this is the one that's not, well, all of them weren't stapled, it was just the ones that were stapled.
We already got those. Thank you, Dad. That in there?
Yes.
Continuances. I need 2 more. 2 more.
Continues, 2 pages, I think.
Mhm. It's actually more. It's, yeah,
4 pages.
yeah,
And this is what we gotta cut down on,
but
continuous.
we have. That's how I'm gonna discuss soon as they get there situated. Soon as they get their stuff, we're gonna discuss that.
We need a document, because these are barriers
Mhm.
to permanency.
We started this process in, I think, 2012, was it, Donna?
Been a while.
About 2012, that Brendan Kelly, the state's attorney, was so thankful for Mr. Kelly. We brought that concern to him about continuances, and so what he started doing is having his staff, assistant state's attorneys, document on the court, was it the court orders meeting?
Yes.
About why it was continued.
Mhm.
And Donna has been so good to record them on sheets like this for us. And it was just amazing at some of the reasons why they were continued. Like you all know the infamous one, defense attorney's wife had a doctor's appointment. So they continue and leave a child in foster care for another 30, 60, 90 days, whatever it was, the next court date. Because his wife had a doctor's appointment. So things like that and other things that were happening, that's why he wanted to know. And we all know sometimes when people know things are being documented, sometimes we change our behaviors.
Right.
So, since that time, I want you all to go all the way to page number 3. Because this one here just starts off from the fiscal year that we usually go. Where we are now, since we met in December of 2015, if you go down to 12:1, it's about halfway through the page. See that? That, starting there, and the last page are the only continuances we've had in 90 days.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't it?
That's a very short one.
Isn't it? You all see the plan? It's about, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 cases. In 3 months. That is more than 100%. Because I remember we had, I think, 5 pages
Right.
we first began this. But we have to applaud and thank Megan Thompson is one, her supervisor Bernadette Shrimp, and Erica, is it Manzotti?
Mazzotti.
Mazzotti. They have been terrific with moving it forward. And we thank Donna. Donna's at courtroom just about every day. Because we don't have, you all know, we only have 2 mornings a week, right? From 9 to 12 on Mondays and Tuesdays only. Only 2 mornings. It's not, we don't have a pure, juvenile court for these only. We have to share with delinquency. And so again, it's delinquency on Wednesdays and Thursdays. It's permanency hearings in the afternoons on Mondays and Tuesdays. So all we have are those mornings, Mondays and Tuesdays mornings. It's like they're trying to push everything, so they're doing a fantastic job trying to get everything, keeping everything moving. So we really appreciate you all, baby, for doing it, because I mean, it's been a while, and it's really moving it forward, and we thank you. If there was any concern, we always tell them is that, let us know you all still have our list. I've given them a list of a hierarchy of who they can contact in the different field, all the way from Madison and St. Clair counties, the supervisors, the area administrators, and everybody. So again, they'll know of a particular situation going on with the worker. They can get that worker, that supervisor. So it won't hold things up. So again, they all have it, Judge Brandon as well as the state's attorney.
When I first started doing it, the discovery was the main issue, and that's not one of the problems anymore.
Yes. Let's see some of the. One of the things, no reason given, continued by agreement of parties, continue due to DCFS non-tender discovery to the state.
Now, are we monitoring this in the whole, in all action teams in the southern region?
I doubt it.
Do we know, Michael? So that means that's something we could probably assist with to see how this can be monitored throughout the whole region. Because then as a region, our numbers should, throughout the state, but as a region, we should know what's holding up, what's the barriers to permanency.
Yes, I agree.
And if it's successfully working, and you got the relationship with the court, that's helping to create that.
And we believe that's what has done it, is the relationship with the court.
I know some of the smaller courts, when I used to go down to Effingham and something like that, it'd be difficult because they don't want to hear it. But I think if we can document some kind of way that it's effective and working, and maybe some of the judges in the smaller court.
Because it's not blaming the court, and we recognize and we're making them understand that we were not pointing fingers saying the court no. Because if it's our staff or us, we need to also eliminate that barrier. And that's what we were saying, like with discovery. We're saying if it's our staff, we're not getting them the discovery, we need to say, why aren't we? What's the problem? So again, that's why we wanted to identify so we could nip it in the bud, whatever it was, whoever it is that's doing it. So they've met us at the table, they've done their part with pushing and moving those cases. So we have to make sure that we've done our part with getting them information they need to move forward, like the birth certificates and all the other stuff that they've required and asked us to get, the father's address and all that. We tell people all the time, between the time of handoff or at that shelter care, it's usually at least 30 days before that summons. Is that right, Megan?
Yes, it is.
And we tell them, if you don't have a father's address, you know that before 30 days.
Right.
Get that father's address and make sure that Megan and them have it so they can move on in that summons hearing. They can publish from whatever they have to do, but a lot of times we'll come there, we'll wait 30 days, and they'll say, we don't have any father's address. Well, here it is, keep so-and-so at so-and-so. And again, that's what I'm so glad we've stopped a lot of that.
But has this been addressed in management meetings?
What's that?
Supervisor meetings? The whole supervisor is accountable to monitoring those cases from the workers. That's what I'm saying. Has this been addressed?
Well, I know there are for monitoring cases, but I'm not sure if they're necessarily monitoring the docket and how things are moving on it. Not that I know when I go to a meeting, I don't.
Okay. No, I just asked because I know in December we did the presentation on the permanency issue, and I was at the supervisors meeting. I think Jamie and them did that. Do they bring these issues up there? About the monitoring of the cases? The supervisors ensure that these kind of things.
Supposed to. We're supposed to ensure they are. But a lot of us doing it, I couldn't say. But that's why, again, and you all know we invite all supervisors, even workers. Crystal is here. She's a staff caseworker. We invite them all to come to this meeting to get the information you need. And we all know that the supervisor sets the tone for the team. I mean, if the supervisor's pushing this, if this is a passion for him or her, then of course, a lot of times our staff will get on board because they know before I meet with Karen, she's gonna ask me about this, did I do this, or do, so they'll sometimes, you know, get it done, but that's what we're finding. We know that, we know it's busy. You always have something. But we're finding out though, if you do some of these other things, it would prevent a lot of those other tasks that we're having to do if we do some of that. So I think it's moving well because we do know how it used to be with these continuances. Now the other list is the termination continuances. Remember when we started that, at a time we didn't have, we used to have the legal screeners in the office. And the state's attorneys were not involved. Well, about the past 2 years, Urban has gotten together with the state's attorney, now our legal screeners occur here. You all know that, right, for those who have had them. So it's always good because during the legal screening, Megan and them, they get to ask the questions then. A lot of questions, and let us know what else we need before we even move forward. Because they're going to be the ones, as you all know, prosecuting and doing the case in the courtroom. So it's good that they know up front what's going on, so they can tell us now, rather than wait 2 months before we get, or 3 months before we get into the court to say, you should have had A, B, C, D. So that's another thing put in place that's sort of proactive. That we do the legal screenings here. The other thing is, we do that's what they're saying, the termination things. You're doing staffings with them too now, Megan, with some of them.
Staffing?
For the termination, when you have a...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Once we move from the first to the second, we know that it's gonna be a trial, I will contact, the caseworker and anyone who's gonna testify, and we can have a quick meeting, and then establish what, 9-month period we wanna go off of, or, you know, any concerns, maybe go over some questions so everyone's on the same page, and it basically it's just prepping for trial.
You all know what 9-month period, what she's talking about? Because there's a 9-month period. For those who may not be aware, anyone not aware of what the 9-month period is for? Okay, so everybody's aware. Because we know everybody's not working direct service, so necessarily wouldn't know. Like, I wasn't sure if Michael knew or whatever, Dr. Brown, with the 9-month period they're talking about. Okay. The other thing is the second page is where we start with these continuances. You'll see at 12:15, it's almost halfway down. You should have a little dark slash or something at the top there. You see it? That's where those continuances are. And these are just, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4 cases? Is that right?
That one,
Technically,
the
only
second,
three.
the two are the same case.
Okay, it's
We're
big.
continuing to.
Okay. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, they are.
There's only three.
That's a lot of kids.
Clerk to publish on unknown fathers and named fathers.
That's a lot of children. One in a year.
Now, how can if anyone can work, because I know we try to do that up front, to publish on the unknown and known fathers. Can you do that before this?
This is something that Sandy, the court clerk, does.
Mhm.
She has to put it into the newspaper for 3 weeks
Every
running to
kid
provide
is
notice
different.
to unknown fathers. Named fathers, if we have their address and we get them served, we can just default them. But if we don't have an address and you guys do a diligent search, then we put their name into the newspaper with any unknowns.
Okay. So I would say, yeah, because we often, unfortunately, a lot of times our fathers will change addresses and other things, but we know names. And but I was trying to see a way to sort of be a little correct before we got to the summons, because I know then you have to continue again and come back. That's what I'm just trying to figure
Presuming
out.
on this case, we probably defaulted mom, and then we preserve the right to prove up the petition. Once we get service on unknowns and named dads, then we'll default them and then prove up the petition altogether.
Any questions on the continuances? Moving right along with them, I tell you. The other thing I'm just gonna pass around, because you all got this too. You all see the letter basically letter to foster parent inviting them to court. This is something we agreed on in the permanency action thing that we would do, because this is another. I got a call from Judge Brandon in, did we do this in February? Okay, I think I got a call from him probably in January, and saying that he had met our the DCFS foster parent support specialist. He wasn't aware she existed. And then she was only there to support a foster parent. And he began to ask the foster parent some questions about how did she know there was a court date and other things like that. Did she get an invite? And she said, not normally, but I did this time, and so forth. So again, this sort of spearheaded out of that conversation. He was wondering why foster parents normally don't attend court. It's rare they do. And what DCFS and POS was doing to ensure that they got notification. Well, we know we tell them at ACRs, and you probably tell them during home visits and everything else, but there was really nothing in writing. So we thought we would develop a letter, and we developed, this is only on DCFS letterhead here, but if Karen sends it out, it'll be on Harleton letterhead. If Brooke sends it out, on Caritas. If Crystal sends it out, on Lutheran, and Katie on Children's Home Day. So again, but it will be the same language, exact same language. We agreed that we would all use the same uniform language to not confuse people, so it'd be across the board. If the judge ever asks, well, why is Lutheran saying this and then why is, see what I'm saying? So again, we agreed that let's keep the language same. If someone saw something anytime in the future that probably need to be changed, we need to sort of tweak it, they let us all know at the team, so we can all decide to change it or, so again, we just believe that being uniform.
Okay, so has it been sent out to all the POS?
Yes.
Okay.
We have representation from every POS agency here right now. Yeah. So, yeah, it was sent out to all of them before we even implemented it, because we discussed it in the meeting. I'm sorry, you all. I have it in my notes.
You have it in a Word document? Okay, can you send it to me?
Sure.
So wait, when we create our toolkit documents for our notebooks next year, we make sure we include these documents, at least as examples to go across the state, at least the whole southern region. Because you're doing something that maybe some other action teams, other counties are not doing. So as much as we can get from here, we can recreate some of this stuff to spread it around the whole region and then the state, since it's going, since our toolkit goes up to Chicago too.
Yeah, because what we did before we implement, like I said, we all developed. Well, actually, we have, Matt, we have more people on the action team. She's not here today. The ACR supervisor for East St. Louis for our area. I think she's for the 4A area period, isn't she?
Yeah.
Rebecca Nichols. She actually wrote this up for us based on what we said we wanted. She actually wrote this up. In no time, I think on the next day she sent to us. So we all reviewed it, sent out for everybody on the team to review if they had any suggestions, anything. So again, we put it in place. But before we did, we had a conversation with Judge Brandon, I did, to ask him, because we know a lot of foster parents work. Court is always during the day. If you have foster parents work 8:35, they'll probably never be. I mean, really, there's some that take off.
Right.
But really, some don't have those benefits to take off. But they may want input, want him to know some things. So one of the things I asked him, would it be okay for them to write you and let you know ahead of the court date to let you know what their concerns, or if the kid's just doing well, everything's great, whatever. And he said, sure, because I didn't want him to be just inundated with letters and not know why.
Right.
So he was, of course, very much encouraged, yes, tell them to write me, tell them. So we include that in here too, that if they cannot make it,
Right,
feel free
to
to
write a letter.
Letter to say.
Is that in here?
Yes.
It's got their address and everything. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Courtroom.
So that's the letter we did for that to address it with the foster parents. But we'll still.
So Megan, is it okay to share this with other
absolutely
action
is.
teams across the state?
I redacted the child's name in that.
Oh, okay.
So it's fine. It's just an example we had from a.
Yeah, I just want to
in case that was just a
include in our
duplicate.
toolkit. We created a toolkit that we sent out to all the action teams that maybe other places don't know that this should be done.
Absolutely.
But some kind of way that we can take these documents and make sure that we include that it's done all across at least the other region, and then you can make sure it's done across the state and we can pass it to the other university partners.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Question regarding inviting the foster parents to court. Are they allowed in the courtroom when we are testifying or talking about the parents' progress?
Judge Brandon usually makes that decision. Because he'll ask, does he still do it? I don't come every time, every court hearing, but I do know a lot of times when you come in, he'll ask you, who are you, and what, does he?
Yes.
He'll do that, yeah. And then of course, you know, then he'll eliminate, say, well, ma'am, can you wait outside? I'm gonna call you in a little bit.
Okay.
With confidentiality, yeah. That's been always, even with ASORs, you know, they wait outside. So if he is not aware, or somebody else not aware, you can always let them know, Your Honor, we have a foster parent here. I just want, so again, so they'll know. There used to be a time when, you all remember that bench, it was a big bench back there in the courtroom that was full of many workers.
They took it out.
And none of them but one was involved in that particular family's case. But they were hearing that testimony like, ooh, what's going on? And we thought that was so unfair. And one of the parents brought it to my attention. I said, that's a good question to ask him. But we brought it to Judge Brand during the meeting, and he was absolutely on it 100%. And I see, this probably was about 4 or 5 years later.
I remember that.
Yeah, so it's still, again, because it's only right, any of us would want that same confidential privacy when it came to that.
Are there still, sorry to interrupt you, but are there still individuals that sit in the courtroom that?
We have CASA and who is it? Task sometime, I think.
Occasionally task and cost of RJ.
But that's it.
Yeah, then we just have the bailiff, the clerk, the state's attorney, and the judge.
So why do we have those individuals sitting in the courtroom then?
Well, CASA's gonna be there because they're the advocates for the children.
Yeah, I understand that, but if they're not on a particular case.
But he may assign, that's what it is sometimes he may assign them, even a case that's been open for a year or so,
Sign a CASA.
he still may assign CASA.
We have a court order assigning this to every case.
Yeah,
So
CASA's
it's an open, and we can be assigned at
So
any
you
time.
can have, okay, I guess, maybe I'm not making myself clear. I guess my question is, if there are like 6 CASA workers in the courtroom, not all 6 of them are assigned to that case that's being heard. So I guess that's my question, why?
No, there's only gonna be one, the worker just for that case, the CASA worker for that case.
Okay, I don't.
The coordinators are in there, and whoever the CASA is.
Yeah, the coordinator for CASA and just the specific CASA for that case is in the courtroom, not a bunch. But if there's
If
any
they're doing their
training,
court watching.
yes,
But they're
there's
training,
some training,
yeah.
they'll let more for that reason, for training purposes.
I think that's Brooks' concern, I guess,
Yeah.
is that you're saying that if they're.
I think that's always been my concern, and you know, I mean, I remember way back in the day when Gary Guadagano was there, I remember having a conversation with him about why are all these people sitting in the courtroom, and you know, and after years passed, it finally changed, but I think still, like, I understand that CASA is part of the case, but they are volunteers, so, you know, they may know somebody that's standing in the courtroom in front of Judge Brandon, so I guess that's just my concern, and I think it always has been.
Right, but if there's a conflict of interest, they should, if they know somebody,
Right,
and there's a conflict of interest, they're supposed to identify that, because they should not be on a case where they have some personal connection to. And if they don't disclose that, I think that's a problem later on for the court, but they should disclose that.
Okay. And let me ask you though, Don, since you mentioned that, Brooke, I think Brooke has, I believe, a valid point. Certainly the question is that if I'm just court watching, or just doing observations, but I have nothing, even when we do research, or we have students sitting and we're doing practicums, they will have them sometimes, the client still has to sign a release to say that Ms. So-and-so can sit in here while you're discussing my case. So does CASA, again, I think that's the line you're going there.
Yeah.
Does CASA, for example, just court watching an observation of Ms. Jones, like, do you at least ask her or him, is it okay that we sit in, or how does that go out?
Oh, it's up to the judge, and they sign a confidentiality form before they go through training. Then the day they do their court observation, the judge actually swears them into the confidentiality at that time.
That's good information.
It is.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And if it's still a concern, as you know, but seriously, Judge Brandon is always amenable to meeting to see it, because that's who sets the order in the courtroom, of course, and he will address some things if you have a
I guess I
question.
just struggle with the difference between if casework staff aren't allowed to sit in there, we all sign confidentiality, we all, you know, so it doesn't make sense to me as, you know, casework staff aren't allowed, and then we've got CASA and other people in there, so.
Well, it's only the
Yeah.
volunteer appointed to the case, unless
Okay.
they're doing their court watching and being sworn in.
Okay.
Because
Maybe I need to pop
usually,
into court
when
one
I've
of
been up
these
there,
days
it
and-
hasn't been too many people up there. Donna, Teresa, and whomever is on the case. So I have never been up there, and it's
But
been,
one of the things I would just recommend then is you always have a right to ask. Don't be always ask your honor before it starts. Say your honor. We don't know all these. Like you said, these people here, because we have. If you all know, we have one parent. You all probably know begins with a K. Some of us know. She will ask that. If you're not involved,
We know who
won't
you're
she?
talking about.
She will. One thing I have to give her, she's very assertive, and she should. I said, these are your rights, yes.
Yeah.
Ask him what you
Yes, every
ask
right.
him. He
and
said,
Judge
yes.
Brandon has asked that question.
Yes.
Do anybody have a problem with anybody in the room?
Okay.
He's asked
So always
that.
tell
When I'm up there,
your
I'm sorry.
families and your youth or whatever to bring that up. They have a right to be heard or ask a question in a respectful manner. Just ask them. Because as you can see, we're not going to be able to change it. I mean, this team, if that level, because there is something, like you said, CASA is now statewide. They are the court-appointed special act. So the court, it's like their extension, as you know that though. But again, so I'm saying that may be something to take up though, individually, each case by case. And Donna, since she's here, and I know she'll probably tell her staff in the future, don't just go in there and just sit.
Well,
But
we
you
can
need to
also put it in our
make
final
sure.
report, which I don't know if Judge Brandon's been getting our final report, our permanency report, where we can make sure when our final report every year that we do for the permanency. Have you been getting a copy of it?
I think I did get one last
Yeah.
year.
But I'm saying we could put it
I
as an
wasn't-
observation, like,
Yeah.
you know, just as an observation, to see if that's happening. And then, Michael, you can kind of track and see if it's happening across the state that people are having some of those concerns. And maybe it becomes a bigger issue later on or something, but, you know,
And that report is posted on the PEP website.
yeah.
Are you all familiar with the?
Permanency Enhancement Project website.
No.
Okay. So y'all want to write that? Tell us what that is. That www dot something.
It's just, Illinois Permanency Enhancement Project. .org.
Permanency Enhancement Project.
.org. Or you can just Google Illinois Permanency Enhancement.
Yeah, Megan, can you Google it right quick and pull it up, or do you have internet?
I don't have internet.
Oh, okay. But
Do it.
if we can get it, we'll get it to you, to everybody.
Illinois Permanency Enhancement.
Right.
Okay.
If you would email James,
I can send the link.
send the link to James, and James can send it out to everybody.
Thanks, James.
Because it's everybody's report that's happened across the state and also the whole southern region, so you can see what's happening with other action teams.
Yeah, it's just permanency enhancement project.org. It was the fourth one
Permanency
to come up.
Enhancement.org.
Yep.
And this is another reason why we so need a full, not, as you know, it's not really full-time, but a permanent scribe. It really is, because that person will be the one to put our data, our minutes and all that on the site. We haven't had things on the site for a while because we don't have anybody to,
Well, if that's what you want the role of our graduate students to do,
if they can put it on there, the minutes from,
yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
they can do it.
Yeah, and
Because-
you're doing all the minutes.
I
So-
take all the notes and turn them in.
Yeah, so she's taking all the notes, and I know I get the notes. When I'm not here, I get all the notes for them, but what we'll do is compile them. If you take all the notes from all the quarterly meetings and compile them and send it to me, let me review, and then we'll get it out and get it to everybody, and get it out on the site.
Thank you.
Each action team has its own
Go ahead.
site
Yeah,
on the website.
their own spot on the site.
Because y'all know we had, Rebecca Nichols agreed, that's who, the last meeting she did, and Carla Long from Child Protection was with that.